If you're a comic book reader and you got a pull list or you go to your comic book shop weekly to pick up the newest titles, especially if you're a Marvel fan, you probably have noticed things are a bit of a cluster F right now. And now DC Comics are having a similar issue, although it appears to be something obviously completely different because Diamond isn't allowed to do any distribution for DC Comics. They're not even a wholesaler. And with these delays for DC, Bleeding Cool suggests these issues are likely to linger into early 2025, signaling a potentially unfortunate new normal. For readers, the weekly rhythm of comic releases has been a long-standing tradition. Any deviation from that norm not only frustrates consumers, but risks disrupting the momentum of ongoing series, which is the case of the delayed titles here. You don't want to disrupt the periodic format. People expect their comic books to come in every single week, and when you start breaking that up, they start spending their money on other stuff. They stop going to their comic book shop every Wednesday or Thursday, whatever day it is that you go in your comic book shop. Maybe it's a Saturday. Maybe you got a Monday through Friday job that precludes you from making that trip or whatever. And this is probably the worst time for this to happen because there are so many really hot titles. Fortunately for DC, most of the stuff being interrupted, but some of the stuff being interrupted is kind of big, but it's not like Absolute Batman or like Absolute Superman or some of the really big time sellers. Let's get into some of these DC interruptions that you can expect this week at your comic book shop. DC fans hoping to dive into next week's new releases will need to hold out a little longer. Several highly anticipated titles originally slated for January 8 release have been punted for later drops due to ongoing distribution delays. Issues affected include Action Comics 1082, Black Lightning #3, Green Lantern Fractured Spectrum. These are now set to hit shelves on January 15. The hotly anticipated The Ninth House by the Sea #5, originally expected November, will finally hit shelves with the lineup on the same day. Batman Offworld #6, planned for August of 2024, has now been announced for February 5, 2025. Batman 89 Echoes #6, originally expected in September of 2024, is now set to release in February 12th, 2025. Batman Full Moon #4, pushed from January 15th to February 26th. Little Batman Month 1, postponed from January 1st to January 22nd. The big title there for me, obviously, is Green Lantern Fractured Spectrum. Really been enjoying the Jeremy Adams Green Lantern run. That's going to kind of kick off the next big story arc that they have. And one of my personal favorite artists is going to be on that book as well. V. Ken Marion. Had him on the channel somewhat recently. He's a really good guy and an awesome artist. So sucks that we're not going to be getting that one this week. Action Comics obviously is one of their bigger titles. You know, Batman Offworld, been really, really awesome. And it's been so long. Has it been like 6 months since we got issue #5? I forgot that it hadn't concluded yet. But that was probably the coolest thing that Jason Aaron has done in comics in like 8 years. Maybe it's 9 years. When did he do Gore the God Butcher story in Thor? It's been that long since he did something truly outstanding, in my opinion. I know some people are enjoying Absolute Superman. I personally am not one of them, but I was absolutely enjoying Batman Offworld. I don't know that that's because of like logistic issues. I think maybe there's probably an issue with the artist Doug Mankey. They haven't said anything about it, but that's kind of my assumption because those have been massively delayed. Batman Echoes 89 or Batman 89 Echoes, another series that's going to end up taking like over a year to release. So it's just a mini series, but Batman 89 pretty much sucks. So I didn't even read that one. Batman Full Moon is another book that some people have been enjoying. I think that one's Rodney Barnes and Steven Subich. Kind of a cool creative pairing there. You know, Batman fighting werewolves and stuff like that. Yeah, a little Batman. I don't know that that's going to be like a big one. That's more of like a kid's book. But you don't want a bunch of delays, especially when DC's kind of got some hotness to it. Now, it might not be the in-continuity stuff, which I actually think is pretty darn good. It's certainly the Absolute Universe stuff that's kind of propping DC up at the moment. But you want to have those big titles that people are expecting, like your Action Comics, your Green Lantern specials and stuff like that, and your Batman miniseries have been very, very popular, like Offworld, which I think is awesome, as I mentioned, and Full Moon and stuff like that. So bad time for DC Comics to have this happen. And certainly it's not quite as bad as what's happened to Marvel, which is basically like you can't even predict what your shop will and will not have. They can't even predict at this point because they're not even really getting updates. I'll kind of talk about that here a little bit more because Diamond had a response, I guess, to the outcry from retailers, deservedly so, to be like, what the hell is going on here? And their response was less than desirable. But we also have some other things that are being delayed by DC. Several high-profile collector editions have also had their releases shuffled around. Batman The Long Halloween #1 Facsimile Edition has been postponed from January 19 to February 5. Batman Off-World Hardcover Collection, originally planned for November 2024, is now set to release on April 1st, 2025. Additionally, Batman Justice Buster Volume 4, initially set for October 2024, will now arrive in March 2025. Wonder Woman The Golden Age Omnibus Volume 6 hardcover has shifted from October 2024 to February 18th, 2025. Absolute Mr. Miracle from Tom King and Mitch Gerrits will be available on January 28th. The Flash by Mark Waid Omnibus Volume 2 hardcover has been pushed to February 4th. So you also have some collected editions that are having some issues getting out there into distribution. It doesn't sound like it's a Lunar problem, like the Marvel's been definitely a Diamond problem. It sounds like maybe DC are having some issues with their printers and getting things around. I don't know that this has a lot to do with all the big winter storms that are going on, but I could imagine that some of these delays, especially the floppies, could have something to do with that. Maybe it shut down some supply lines, getting the printing off actually to the distribution centers and stuff like that. Certainly, Batman Off-World is not one of those. Batman 89 Echoes is not one of those. Batman Off-World hardcover is not one of those. But there are some pretty interesting collector editions in there. If you like the Mr. Miracle story from Tom King, that's probably the best thing he's done at DC. Although I do think he completely screws up the second half of that story, and it kind of goes for naught, in my opinion. But some people still really like that one a lot. Mark Waid, not my personal favorite writer. I think he's kind of a bad person. But there's no doubt that he probably has one of the 2 or 3 best Flash runs of all time. So that could be of interest to people. And then that Justice Buster thing is kind of like a Batman manga that was released in Japan that's now being collected as being released in the United States. I think you can also get the floppies on that one as well. But if you're into that kind of stuff, that's all out there. And all being delayed because we're all kind of screwed over here. First, it was just Marvel. Now it's DC being affected. As I mentioned, Diamond kind of came out with a response to all the issues and like, we couldn't have predicted that going month to month on a lease that they would find a leasee that was willing to pay higher rates. So we had to no notice move all their stuff to the Olive Branch, which has already been notorious for very, very poor service and an inability to do things correctly. And now they're more swamped and stuff like that. And they're like, we've got a lot of other stuff going on. We've got more stuff that we do than just comic books. And really, it's not our fault, we have to wait for the people that we wholesale through to get it through here. And then, we rack and stack it. And the farther away you are, the first people that get racked and stacked and sent it out to them. But the good news is this week we got them all out on time, which I thought, hey, that's an improvement. Maybe all the Marvel stuff from Diamond, hopefully your comic book shop hasn't been using Diamond, but a lot of people still are. It'll actually get there in time. That is not the case because there was an update from Rod Lamberti. He owns Rodman Comics in Iowa, and he has a newsletter that he puts out on Bleeding Cool from time to time. He actually provided them with an update on his status report on his Diamond orders this week, and it was not good. The Diamond Comics shipment from last week did not arrive today. It's still in Memphis. Zip from Diamond went to their website. I see no tracking or anything for this week's shipment. It was quite the pleasant Monday trying to explain what is going on with Diamond. From everyone who asked, on the plus side, thankful this week's Transformers I once again ordered through Lunar. The biggest selling title besides Absolute Batman Not on Hand would really hurt. Diamond, what has it been? 8 weeks of chaos now? And that was the update from Rod Lamberti. Apparently, Diamond still have a little bit of work to do to get their stuff on track. And hopefully, Lunar and DC do not fall into that level of chaos when you literally don't know what's coming on. And it sounded like they were just shipping stuff to ship it. They weren't consolidating in the boxes, throwing enormous amounts of extra shipping costs onto them. I kind of covered that in an earlier video, but it kind of sucks right now. If you're looking for the Green Lantern book, I feel the pain. I was looking forward to it too. If you're looking for Nice House by the Sea, I don't know what to tell you. I thought that book sucked. But certainly I'm interested in Batman Off-World, although I did actually forget that we're still awaiting the finale on that one, which is a rare book of extreme quality from Jason Aaron. There was a time when Jason Aaron was a pretty hot writer, and he actually do some really good stuff. But that's been a long time now, and he could probably use the good news from a Batman Off-World. Although I got a lot of crap about this week, as if I didn't explain that this new like Ultimate Superwoman version of Kal-El's mom shooting people with lava and murdering them made her a bad person and not really a good mother, considering that she grabbed her 9-year-old and took him along. And then at one point he's like standing over a guy. He's like, I'll have my mom stop shooting you if you give me passwords to your fucking mainframe. Oh, yeah, that's not psychotic or abnormal behavior whatsoever. Very heroic stuff there. Everyone's like, fuck you, man. That Jason Aaron episode of Superman moved me, dude. Like, get a fucking clue, bro. Actually think about what you're reading, and maybe you'll realize that he's probably not quite the superhero writer that he used to be, but hey, he's got one book out there, Batman Off-World, that's been good. So lots of delays going on there. Kind of sucks. This is the worst time for it to happen to DC, but I did want to get the word out there to you. If you did not see my update on what's going on with Diamond, I did talk about it a couple of weeks ago. If you would like more information on why a lot of these Marvel and some of these indie books are so clusterfucked right now because of Diamond, there is this video right here. You can check it out and get updated on all the things that are still screwed up with Diamond Comics distributors.